The cafe was busy that morning, filled with laughter, chatter, and steaming cups of coffee. She walked in quietly, clutching her tray of food like a shield. Her eyes scanned the tables, searching desperately for a place to sit. But one by one, faces turned away. A wave of rejection hit her sharp, humiliating, unbearable. And then, just when she thought she would break, a single hand lifted, and a voice gently called, "Would you like to join us?" The cafe buzzed with energy, baristas calling names, spoons clinking against mugs, conversations spilling into the air. Sunlight painted soft patterns across the wooden floor. Amid the cozy chaos, she stepped in, careful, almost invisible. She looked fragile, carrying a small tray with a simple breakfast. Her clothes, plain but neat, spoke of someone trying her best to blend in. She moved slowly, as though afraid of disturbing anyone. Her gaze swept across the crowded tables, searching for an empty seat. None appeared. Every spot was taken, yet it wasn't just that no one seemed willing to share. Her tray shook slightly as her hope faltered. Alone, she stood in the middle of the room, surrounded by warmth but feeling colder than ever. She approached the nearest table, her voice soft, "Is the seat free?" The group avoided her eyes. A man shifted his cup, pretending not to hear. A woman fiddled with her phone, shaking her head almost imperceptibly. The silence cut sharper than words. She tried another table. Again, someone muttered, "Sorry, taken," though the seat was clearly empty. Her face flushed. She forced a small smile, hoping no one noticed the sting in her eyes. But she felt it, the invisible wall of judgment pressing closer with every step. She stood frozen, tray heavy in her hands, a lump rising in her throat. Around her, laughter and clinking cups continued, as if mocking her solitude. She thought of leaving, but her stomach ached. Hunger battled with shame. She stayed, rooted in place, trapped in a storm of quiet rejection. At the far corner, a man sat with his little daughter. Their table was small, tucked away, yet filled with warmth. He noticed her, the way her shoulders slumped, the way her eyes darted between empty chairs that were never offered. His brow furrowed. He knew that look, quiet humiliation. His daughter, no older than 7, tugged gently at his sleeve. "Daddy," she whispered, her eyes wide with empathy, "she looks sad." He followed her gaze. The girl standing alone seemed fragile, almost breakable, yet there was something about her composure she refused to let her tears fall. The father's chest tightened. He saw not just a stranger, but someone carrying a heavy story untold. In that instant, he made a decision. He pushed out the empty chair across from him. His voice cut through the clamor, gentle but firm. "Would you like to join us?" The cafe grew quieter, eyes turning toward the scene. The young woman froze, stunned by the unexpected kindness. She looked at him, then at his daughter, who was smiling brightly, nodding as if encouraging her to say yes. The girl's hands trembled around her tray. She had been invisible moments before, unwanted, yet here, someone had seen her. She hesitated, fear of rejection still clinging to her. But the warmth in the father's eyes, and the innocent sincerity of the child, left no room for doubt. Slowly, she nodded, lowering herself into the chair. Relief washed over her face. The cafe still watched, but for the first time, she didn't feel small. She felt welcome. As she placed her tray down, the silence at the table softened into small, tentative conversation. The father asked her name, she answered quietly, almost shyly. Bit by bit, her story unfolded. She was a student, working nights to pay for tuition and food. Often, she skipped meals to stretch her money. Today, she had finally allowed herself a small breakfast only to find herself with nowhere to sit. Her voice cracked when she admitted how often people overlooked her, treating her as if she didn't exist. The father listened, his eyes heavy with empathy. The daughter leaned closer, as if memorizing every word. The woman looked down, ashamed of revealing so much. But instead of pity, she saw understanding in their faces. Her heart softened. She wasn't invisible here. If this moment touched you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more kindness stories. The little girl reached into her plate and slid half her cookie toward the young woman. "You can have mine," she said, her voice pure and unguarded. The woman's breath caught. She stared at the cookie, then at the child's kind eyes. No one had shared with her in so long. Her lips trembled as tears gathered. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice breaking. She took the cookie with trembling fingers, as if it were a treasure. The father smiled softly, pride glowing in his eyes. This was what he wanted his daughter to learn: not wealth, not appearances, but kindness that costs nothing yet changes everything. In that small act, the cafe felt warmer. The woman, who had arrived as an outcast, now felt embraced, even if only by one table. The cafe, once filled with cold indifference, began to shift. A man at the next table cleared his throat awkwardly, then offered, "Would you like a fresh cup of coffee?" "My treat." Another woman shuffled her belongings aside, freeing a seat near her. A few customers, ashamed of their earlier silence, offered small smiles. It was subtle, but the atmosphere transformed. The father's one act had sparked something. People who moments ago turned away were now opening their hands. The young woman looked around, overwhelmed. She had never expected kindness to spread like this. It felt as though the walls of judgment had cracked, letting in light. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't an outsider, she was part of the room. When she finally stood to leave, her steps were lighter. She placed her tray on the counter, pausing to glance back. The father and his daughter waved warmly. She pressed her hand over her chest, her eyes glistening. "Thank you," she whispered, though her words carried deeper meaning: gratitude for more than a chair, gratitude for being seen. As she walked out, the cafe no longer felt like a place of rejection. It had become a place of quiet humanity. The father watched her go, his daughter's small hand tucked in his. Around them, the cafe felt different now. A seed had been planted. Strangers had remembered the weight of simple compassion. The camera lingers on the father and daughter as they finish their meal. The little girl leans her head against her father's arm. He smiles, knowing that today she had learned something far greater than any textbook could teach. The narrator's voice carries softly. Kindness costs nothing. But to someone lost in the crowd, it can mean everything. We never know the battles others are fighting. Sometimes, the smallest invitation can save someone's day or even their spirit. The final image shows the father and daughter leaving the cafe, hand in hand, sunlight following them out the door. A reminder remains: in a world quick to turn away, be the one who makes space. If this journey inspired you, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss future kindness stories.